I was recently given this 20-year-old computer with the request to destroy it. Well, I thought it was a bit overkill to destroy it. It's a little piece of history here, and it lets me have a bit of fun with it. So, the question is, can Linux run on a 20-year-old computer? Actually, yes it can. It's not that much of a hardship. This is a Pentium 3, the make of Tiny, which is a British company, and from what I remember about them, they were kind of like mid-range price computers, really kind of more bottom end. That's just kind of what my memory was of them. It's very difficult to research out on the internet nowadays. But yeah, you can see that's actually a mechanical keyboard. That actually works really well. That'll be an item I'm keeping of this. Yeah, how bad is it to say when the best item of the computer is the keyboard? Well, I don't think you'd be saying that on many modern computers, but yeah. Anyway, it's got a nice mechanical keyboard, a 2-button wheeled mouse, a rather small monitor with a ridiculously thick instruction manual. So I don't know much in the way of details about the processor in this computer, other than I know it's a Pentium 3, and I know it has 256 meg of RAM. Looking at the back of the computer, we can see we have two PS2 inputs, keyboard and mouse. They're labelled rather than coloured. Two USB 1 inputs, two serial inputs, a parallel printer input, an onboard sound card providing the sound input, output, line out, and a joystick output. So who remembers when joysticks came with that output rather than using USBs? I've got some sort of graphics card. I've got a dial-up modem and a TV card. Now notice one item I am missing there is a LAN port, an Ethernet port. Now I don't have an Ethernet card anymore. What I do have somewhere is a Wi-Fi dongle. There's no way that'll work with the Windows of that era, which reminding us on the front, that'll be Windows 98/NT. And we can see it's year 2000 compliant. Yes, when people were worried about the numbers of the clock being 2 digits going to 4 digits. So would it be with a 2-digit clock, would the year be represented as 1900 or 2000? Anyway, my question has to be, is it 2038 compliant? Looking at the inside of this system, we have an ISA card, AGP card for the graphics, and what would that be? Is that 3 PCI ports? The Pentium 3 processor is on a card. Well, it's been a long time since Intel has done that. A 12GB hard drive, a floppy drive, and a 52-speed CD drive. I can actually confirm Linux does work on here. It had Debian Buster working, which was gparted live CD version. It absolutely struggled. You can see the load average there. That was with a request of doing nothing much at all. That was just with the Fluxbox desktop, and I opened but did not do anything with the gparted program. Memory usage of it though was not too bad. So yeah, it's definitely a case that the processor was struggling. Makes me think this is a lower end processor, probably a slower speed version of the Pentium 3. So the question is, which Linux operating system and desktop should I go for? Now I have this handy picture here which shows memory usage. This is a couple of years or so old now and not as detailed as I would have liked it to have been. But we do get a rough idea of what memory usage is for the different desktops. So bearing in mind this system had 256 meg of RAM, that means LXDE is going to be too much for it. So we have the Equinox desktop environment or common desktop environment. They're very low memory usage, also pretty awful to use nowadays. Moksha and Enlightenment have very low memory footprints and actually have a very fancy looking desktop. So Moksha would be Bodhi Linux. So I think an ideal candidate for a desktop operating system will be Tiny Core Linux, and not just because the system was made by Tiny. Got to have a laugh on the naming here. Tiny computer, tiny operating system. Yeah, I'm going to go with Tiny Core Linux because it was tiny. Pun intended. Tiny in download size. So 16 meg download, but they also offer a 100 meg version as well. So yeah, Core Plus 106 meg. So this is going to be if we need to use a wireless network and a non-US keyboard. So yes, on both those parts because it does not have an Ethernet port. So yeah, I'm going to go with a whole 106 meg for the operating system. This is a system, and something you'll have to remember from computers at this age, they would not have had bootable USB drives, so I had to write the operating system to a CD. So there it goes, hopefully it'll pick it up. I had to go into the BIOS and make it boot from the CD first. Yes, it has, so we've got to grab a boot menu here, so I'm just going to keep it a default. Although 20 years does sound a long time for a computer, in terms of actually being able to run Linux, it's not really going to be that difficult. It will be compatible. I just have to look for a 32-bit version of Linux. The difficulty comes in trying to run a graphical user interface, because of the lack of memory, the slow processor. That'll make these things very difficult, and modern applications, they're going to really struggle, purely more with resources than an issue with the architecture. So we have a graphical user interface. That's interesting. So I was trying it out with the USB mouse first time, and it was just slow and unresponsive. But with the old PS2 mouse, the old ball mouse, it's actually fine. I can move that mouse perfectly well. So is there a system installer here? I think that's it there. Yeah, tiny core installation. Installed to SDA, install the bootloader. So it'll install that. Format it to extension 4, make the underlying drive even more unreadable. That's fine. I don't think you really need me to do anything there. So core and XGUI desktop, yeah. Wireless, yeah, we need Wi-Fi support. Wireless firm. I shouldn't need NDIS wrapper. I should just be able to get the wireless driver from within the kernel. Non-US keyboard layout support. So as much as I hate to admit this first run is actually going to be a failure. Due to the network, unfortunately the Wi-Fi drivers included in Tiny Core Linux have not been able to detect the USB Wi-Fi device that I have. We've got no Wi-Fi devices found. Now, ordinarily I'd probably take a look at what I have on the USB, see if it's actually picked anything up, but they've not included the command ls-usb or lshw. So I'm really kind of stuck here. I don't know what it is. Oh, I know it works normally in more full-blown Linux distributions. I'm fairly certain it's a Broadcom driver. Anyway, the only ls hardware command that I've included is lspci. Well, I found out what the graphics card is. Well, a vague idea now. So it's actually an NVIDIA Arriva TNT Model 64. So pretty basic. The performance of the desktop looks good here. I've opened the applications. The trouble is I can't install anything because I have no network. Can't download anything. All I've got is what is on here. On the mount tool, it's recognised the floppy drive. So if you heard that then, it's trying to read the floppy drive. So Linux can read a floppy drive. I didn't know that was still in there. I didn't know if the drivers had been removed now. I'll have to revisit this in the future when I either get hold of a PCI network card or I'll take a look at different Linux distributions, something like Bodhi Linux that may have a wider range of drivers included. Hopefully the Wi-Fi drivers will be on there. Proves the point though, you can run Linux on a 20-year-old computer. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all later.